Hello, everyone. Thanks for dropping by this podcast made by the St. Fusion Marie Group. For today, I will be your moderator, Luyun, and today we are joined by.
Hi, so I'm Veronica. I'm taking mechanical engineering.
Hi, I'm Princess Gamalo, same as Veronica. I'm from Mech Eng 2.
Hello, I'm Sophia Mirafelix. I'm from Civil Engineering.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan Guevarra. I'm from PSIE-SM Industrial Engineering, minor in Service Management.
Hi, I'm Wesley taking civil engineering.
Hi, I'm Vincent. I'm taking up AFMGT, Financial Economics and Business Management.
Hi, I'm Zipporah Malvar from BS Psychology.
Hello, I am Romar G-Boy and I'm from Civil Engineering.
All right, so for today, we will be discussing about what stress is, how we can manage it, and its manifestations and effects in different institutions of our lives. Since all of us are students, most of the areas of knowledge will relate to our experiences as students, Lasallians, and sons or daughters in our households in this time of the pandemic. So to start it off, let's define what stress is. We can have Wesley tell us a bit about it.
For me, stress is being unable to cope with mental and emotional pressure and stress management. Simply helps you to cope with your mental and emotional pressure by giving set of techniques and program given by our class LCLSONE.
Okay, so thank you for that, Wesley. So going in depth, stress is a normal reaction that most of us, if not everyone, are quite familiar with. It is a feeling or a reaction that usually happens when our body undergoes changes or sudden pressure. And in turn, we feel it through physical, emotional, and mental responses such as sudden swings, negative reactions or actions, and even basic emotions like frustration and annoyance. But as in many human reactions, we are able to manage it. We each may even have our own rituals to alleviate our stress, and some of us may even follow the same practices to keep ourselves grounded. So let's start getting to know more about our members. Princess and Sophia, could you tell us about how you are affected by stress?
Hi, so not me na lang, pero I'll generalize as students. So since we're students, it's like natural yet saddening that we experience stress very much frequently, given that we have a lot of tasks to do, may it be academic or for orgs. That sometimes we feel na di na ubusan yung gagawin, right? So it's just becoming a repetitive cycle. And other than that, there may be added factors to stress at home then, given that we are in an online setting. But for me, the effects of stress go both ways, It could be either positive or negative. Positive because it somehow makes things happen, like it pushes us to do work, hence increasing productivity and having things done. But then again, mas lumalamang pa rin yung negative impacts for me, kasi it really drains the soul, especially if it's prolonged already. So I think being able to manage stress effectively will somehow counteract these negative effects we get from having stress present. So Sophia, can you say?
I agree, no? I agree with Princess about what she said na there are, sa academics natin, personally kasi, ayun, stress affects me mentally and physically. So, I experience na parang, I feel na I'm under a lot of pressure and I am uncertain about the future, ganyan. So, these are the thoughts I have when I'm feeling stressed. So, especially now that we are in a pandemic, we are really uncertain about the future. So, when I am way too stressed, I reach the point of burnout. So I get overwhelmed in academics, maybe at home we have problems, ganyan. So ayan. In academics, minsan ako, personally, I experienced like I have difficulty in concentrating. Like even nagka-class, paikot-ikot yung um yung isip ko and hindi ako makapag-concentrate sa lectures, ganyan. And ayun, with relationship with others. Personally, ako minsan I feel like I'm uninterested with communicating with others. While others naman, they tend to talk to people more. Um, I think it is common now since um, we spend our time na online class tayo. So, usually nakaupo tayo all day and naaapektuhan din yung ating physical naaapektuhan din tayo physically. So, minsan we notice na we have low energy and headaches or minsan we have digestive problems in the morning pa nga, ganyan. So, ayun lang for me.
So ayan, I 100% agree with both of your answers. And I think some of us may even have like unique experiences because baka may mga orgs kayong sinalihan, so baka maraming org works. Kasi minsan yung meetings, umaabot na ng gabi, stressful school works, and sa bahay with your houseworks and your family circumstances and so much more. I think, ayun nga, na relate ko din yung sinabi niya na there are times that being tired is so fulfilling and ayun, yung masaya, like it's the happy kind of tired, like you want to wake up to it again because it's something that motivates you. But on the other hand, there's also like the bad kind of tired where you just feel so burnt out. So ayun, moving on, since we are in the Lasallian Institute, let's tackle stress in our school life first. So what are your takes on the Lasallian values that are affected and are important in managing this problem?
So, ayun, sabi nga ni Luis, and as Lasallians din, our image is highly reflected based on how we act. So, it's important na we correlate managing stress to our Lasallian values. And one Lasallian value that I can relate stress management with is gentleness to oneself and to others as well. Sometimes kasi we tend to like blame ourselves when things don't go our way and lash it out to other people. So it's important to remember that we must prioritize kindness because none of the things that happened is anyone's fault naman. And it would also be more stressful pa if we kept on pinpointing out each other's mistakes. So supporting this value rin is another Lasallian value called patience. Like for example, in group works, this is highly present kasi minsan like we tend to get annoyed if a groupmate of ours does not respond agad. But then again, di naman natin alam yung ganap sa buhay niya or the things that are happening to him or her as of the moment. So it's better to understand lang your groupmate situation muna before jumping into conclusions. Also, we don't have the same capabilities naman and one is unique from the other. So we can't expect that we're all in the same pace.
Another Lasallian value na I can add is silence. So, with stress, our silence is affected. So, when we are feeling na parang sobrang stress na tayo, may times na sobrang bad mood natin. Tapos, we don't, hindi natin napapansin kung ano na yung sinasabi natin because sobrang irritable natin that day. So, I think, naaapektuhan yung knowing natin kung kailan tayo magsasalita and what we say to others kasi nga I agree with Princess na we don't know kung ano yung circumstances ng iba. And another thing siguro with silence is when we are stressed, I think we have to know when to seek help, to use our voice, and to ask for help to others, ganyan. Another virtue is piety naman with managing the problem. So, as Lasallians, we recognize that God is our God, the greatest. And once we get to remember that God is there for us and He has plans for us, I think that is a way to manage it. That He is present in our lives and He is always there to guide us and pick us up whenever we feel down or sad. Ayun lang.
Thank you. That was very elaborative. So now I think apart from our speakers' answers, we can all agree that stress transcends beyond the school and the Lasallian life. So could we ask some of our speakers how they are able to cope with all the workload and all their family circumstances that are in their plates right now.
Um, Personally, the workloads were initially exhausting and difficult while I adjusted to the setup. But now I'm able to handle them by understanding my priorities and responsibilities. So basically, I try to strike a balance between everything and being kind to myself. And in terms of family situations, as much as possible, I try to be more sensitive and not pressure myself if I'm not feeling well. Yun lang.
Yeah, so for me naman, how I cope with the workload is that for the most part I allocate ample time for both school requirements and leisure so that like what Zipporah said, to get a balance out of the two. So kasi if I get too much of either, uh like for example, if I get too much if I focus too much on the school requirements, I end up being overwhelmed and overcome by all the requirements that I have. So I just end up being very, very stressed. And for the other hand naman, if I focus too much on the leisure, parang I end up in the same situation rin kasi I'd be cramming all my work. So I'd end up in the same situation kung saan parang uh, I'd be very stressed with all the requirements that I have and all. So yeah, as much as possible, I just try to get the balance out of the schoolwork and all that and leisure. So because like we need rest naman and from time to time. And from the family circumstances, of course, given the situation ngayon with the pandemic, it's very much likely that ano, parang families could be affected by the pandemic due to like the COVID infection and all that. So, and personally, my family was affected by COVID, and how I dealt with that usually is just that I spent some time alone, just like try to reflect and all that. And then from time to time I'd also pray. And yeah, yun lang naman.
I with finals coming up, I really agree with what Zipporah and Vincent said, like how taking breaks is super important and finding the balance because it's really easy to get caught up with the amount of deadlines, especially trying to accomplish each one as soon as possible. But then working nonstop will really just lead to burnout, and at the end, the quality of work you produce is really just not there anymore. So I've also learned to like set boundaries and take breaks at certain times of the day where I'd like stop studying and make time for myself or like take a nap and things like that. With family. So I guess with the being in a pandemic and being like on quarantine, um since we're like kind of locked down together, so we're forced to interact with our family more and like bond with them more. So um being with my family has been like it's helped with the stress a lot because they help me in like my projects and like I don't know what to do and they give like insights and stuff.
Ayun, I think a part of me is happy with how things have gone because I think this pandemic has given us a lot of opportunities and a lot of times to spend more interactions and time with our families. And from what I've seen, people are now getting creative with how they interact with their friends, even though it's online and it's mostly just calling or messaging and playing with others. It's getting creative with kind of games, the kind of modes or mediums that people are using. But on the other side, I do feel for everyone in this pandemic. I think it has made this problem a lot worse than it used to. And I think a lot of us are wishing badly to go back to the face-to-face mode because we're all just tired of this repetitive lifestyle. I think also because there are rising cases of depression and other mental issues in our country, it's getting quite scary to also see children at such young ages, even in our ages, who are beginning to lose their sense of passion and joys because all or most of our interactions are now limited to behind the screens. So as we all know, the youth is our future. And I think we all agree that it is a must for them, or in our case, for us to be protected. So could I ask Ryan and Romar on their stand on how schools should address this now that we are in online mode where it's a lot harder to monitor and nurture our students?
Okay. So my take, if the school should address this concern, is yes, I think schools should also bear responsibility in helping students manage their stresses. Because for sure, part of the stress comes from the school or the university. If not, maybe all pa nga eh, di ba? Uh, but I understand naman their proposal because it's online setting, so they have to double down the difficulty of the test or give us more deadlines para mabalance out yung advantages na meron natin. But I just hope na there would be a system for prof to see how much workload are the students currently holding. Uh, because to be honest, independent learning week is useless either because the prof will give all the deadlines before or after the week. So as a result, hindi pa rin tayo nakaka-advance or be prepared for the exam, or totally drained pa rin tayo after the independent learning week.
Yes, I do agree with Ryan. I do think that stress and stress management should be addressed and given more attention. Well, based on what I can see, many students find it hard to overcome their stress, whether academically, socially, or even in their daily life. Hence, if left unaddressed, students could further experience health issues wherein it could affect their mental and physical well-being. With that, students could end up becoming less productive and affect their performance at school. As I see it, addressing this issue is something that could help raise awareness not only to those professors but also to other people involved in the school premises who are silently going through problems or stress in life. Plus, having this awareness gives way for people to understand one another. It is possible that the school will be considerate enough to address the student's source of stress, such as reducing piles of schoolworks or conducting programs regarding mental health. After all, mental health for me should be prioritized, especially at this time of pandemic, because it can influence how we get to deal with life, interact with people around us, and make good decisions. So if a student experiences mental health issues, it could affect their energy, concentration, and thinking, which in turn could hinder their studies. And I believe it would be a good thing if stress management is being implemented at schools, because it is not only the students, but even the teachers, dean, and other staff will benefit from it as well.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for your answers. I think hearing both of your answers gave me a bit of hope that there are still those who care about preserving and nurturing our passion, especially dun sa part that the both of you mentioned how it affects our learning. I think a lot of us just accomplish our task simply for the sake of passing. I think it's a hit or miss in this mode of learning. There's only a selective task or selective topics that a lot of us take interest in because it piques our minds, our curiosity, and I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, there are also these other tedious tasks that are just like grade heavy on our cards, and it just forces us to accomplish them just so that we could pass and have a good grade. So thank you for that. So as we pack up, let's end things on a lighter note. Could we ask our speakers again for the last time for any advice that you may have for Lasallians and non-Lasallians who struggle with stress and managing it?
Yeah, so for Lasallians or college students in general, usually their stress, of course, stems from their school requirements and school tasks. So an advice would probably be try to always create a plan for your projects or tasks to avoid like any unwanted pressure from the requirements. Because like what I parang said earlier from one of my answers is that if you're not able to efficiently manage your time, diba, you just end up cramming your work, which would lead to like much more stress. Pero if the stress talaga is too much to handle, so like I could advise na parang take a small break if it's really too overwhelming and to try and recuperate from everything.
So my advice to both Lasallians and non-Lasallians is first identify the source of stress. Uh, stress can come from academically, financially, family, or life in general kasi. So I don't think taking rest cluelessly would be a good solution alone. Because no matter how much rest you get, kung yung source ay nandyan, the stress will still be there. Unlike if you know where it is coming from, you can start doing something about it, like minimize the heavy load. Let's say, I know, financial problem. You could start looking for scholarship or start a business or maybe learn a stock market, learn a stock market while taking the rest that you want. Okay, so to summarize everything, I suggest people who are having stress to tackle the main core of the issue while quote unquote repairing yourself. That could be in the form of sleep or Netflix and chill or Valo.
For me naman, what I could say is that you should never feel bad for putting yourself first. So the workload sometimes might pile up where if you're like taking a break or you're like doing something for yourself, but then there's really no point accomplishing it when you're not like feeling great. Sometimes you'd feel bad about it. Pero you'd feel bad like you're not doing something productive every minute. But then the quality of your work, your relationship with other people, and your health is just suffering. It's just not worth it for me. So it's important to find the time to still do things that make you happy, whether it be like what Ryan said, watching a movie, playing games, talking to friends, or like even sleeping.
For me naman, don't cram your homework. And if you need some help, ask your friends or find a tutor online. And yung deadline super lapit na and hindi ka pa tapos, ask your teacher for extend. Sometimes naman they allow you to extend the homework. And if you need some professional help, you can seek naman through online. Meron din naman mga therapies doon, like mag-Zoom call kayo. And lastly, take some time to have some fun with your friends and family.
And so before we end, I would just like to add lang onto their answers that there are orgs out there who do have these Zoom seminars or webinars on self-care, stress management, on how to manage your emotions, on having your relaxed days. So make sure to keep your socials open for those and to look into your university's organizations, because these student organizations are quite initiative in terms of starting these kinds of webinars. So that's all we have. That's all the time we have for today. Everyone, thank you for joining us in our podcast. Before we say our goodbyes, I would just like to give a little piece of advice to make sure that you have self-care or relax days. If you've been reading too much on your materials, if you've been solving too many math problems, if you've been writing your papers a lot, I think that you should drop it, take a rest. You know, you could lay down on your bed, play some video games, watch some movies. You deserve it. Don't overwork yourself too hard. Anyways, thank you again. This was Mutien Marie Group. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Salamat.
Thank you.